October 31. Okay, so you got a month.
We got a month.
Got a month for the Niners to assess their roster and figure. They have $41 million in cap space.
Mhm.
They need to make a move. If they're a player away, we've seen they've made moves before. Christian McCaffrey, Emmanuel Sanders, big swings for an offense that takes a little time to learn.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest need at the deadline for the Niners? Looking a month ahead.
I know what you're gonna say, and I agree with you, but I would say the biggest need for the Niners before the trade deadline would be I'd love to get another pass rusher. Just another one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be I don't even really want like a home run guy. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like Brian Burns, but we just need more depth on that side of the ball, on the other side of Nick. Nick is drawing the most double teams in the league by far, and it's not even close. And we need to be able to take advantage of that mismatch. And that's the thing, like you don't need a Brian Burns to tip the scales for Nick Bosa getting double teamed. You see what I'm trying to say? Like you can get a serviceable guy that could really take advantage of that mismatch. Like, so my biggest thing is that the only reason why I was apprehensive to say pass rusher is because I didn't want to come off sounding like I want the pass rusher.
Right.
Like I don't want I want us to be able to ingest a guy and still be able to have our shirt on at the end of the deal. Like I don't want some guy that we have to pay crazy money to where truthfully inside of the guise of our issues, most teams when they bring on, they trade in the middle of a deadline. They're trading for like what we essentially did last year. Christian McCaffrey, like somebody big, somebody that's going to tip the scales, right? But for us, we have so many financial implications moving forward for next year that really, I feel like as fans, we're kind of looking at the cap space that we have now and seeing what we can do with it now. Like the money is almost burning a hole in our pocket. But really, I look at that money as a stopgap for us to be able to handle business next year. So I don't want us to be able to ingest another guy before, this is my opinion. I wouldn't want us to ingest another guy before trade deadline who's so big and over his skis. And then we just compile on what's kind of like a running narrative for us of we've gone from youthful and having depth to being a tad bit top heavy. And just bringing in another guy who kind of falls along that narrative would be problematic. But adding another depth piece in context to what our specific issues are is that we just need pass rush good enough to make Nick Bosa right? We need pass rush good enough for people to say, all right, well, if we do double Nick Bosa, we're in trouble, right? So we got to pick our poison. Not necessarily getting like a whole cloth, foundational piece. That's kind of where I am.
See, to me, the biggest need is right tackle, but it's so hard to get a right tackle. There are not many good ones. They usually aren't available in the middle of a season. If the Niners could get a big upgrade at right tackle, that to me is the move, but I'm not sure that there is that guy out there. I mean, if Mike McGlinchey's making $17 million a year, it might be tough for the Niners to find someone. So let's go back to defensive end. Like we've talked about this for a while. It's a very important position. But it's kind of like the running back of the defense. Running back's an important position too. But you can find these guys. There's a lot of them. And they can play into their 30s. So I'm looking at Drake Jackson. He had 3 sacks week 1. He hasn't done anything since then. I'm not sure what Drake Jackson is. He might be the dude he was week 1, or he might be the dude he was the last 2 weeks. And they have to look at that. They don't really know. So if Drake Jackson falls off or they want to add something to that rotation, like there's Danielle Hunter, there's going to be guys who are available. They could make that move.
Things always shake up, and I'm glad that you brought that point up, Iggy, before. It's like pass rusher is kind of becoming an oversaturated position, right? Because I feel as though that the league coveted the position so much that now we're kind of like backordered on them. Like we're overstocked at the position where now if you are a 101 defensive end or a pass rusher like a Nick Bosa, yeah, you're there by cachet and name, and you definitely produce. But there are definitely guys who get it done on like a menial level where I feel as though that every team you see is going to have some level of this is our best pass rushing
Except
guy.
the Cardinals.
Except the Cardinals. But they
Any team that's not like rebuilding with the first year coach. Remember when Kyle was here and his number one pass rusher was Cassius Marsh? Remember that? Remember the Cassius Marsh days?
Cassius Marsh days. Dude, so bad.
So bad.
We thought Solomon Thomas was going to be it.
He's supposed to be Aaron Donald 2.0.
Bro. Don't even get me started. Anyway,
sorry.
Is he still in the league? He's at the Jets, right?
I think he's with the Jets. I think Robert Saleh brought him over there because Robert Saleh's a
good guy.
Yeah, a good guy. Yeah.
But really, I feel as though that we can get those guys back. Just basically back to our main point. Those type of fringe pass rush guys that are not necessarily blockbuster trades, but can really get you through a season are still out there. So that's kind of the move that I would like us to see. And I do agree with you. Like, right tackle would be nice, but what would you be getting in the middle of the season? You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be getting Mike McGlinchey, like, which is not worth. Did you say worth the squeeze, baby? It ain't.
No, it ain't.
So,
what do you see from Drake Jackson?
Well, I see a lot of growth. He is using his power a lot more. He can play the entire game. He's playing with quickness, but he is a little unsure of himself. Some of his past moves are not really as refined as they could be. It's kind of like with D lineman. It's like three phases. It's the start, the move, and the finish, right? And with Drake, he's got a phenomenal start. It's just that he's got muddy moves. And even when he does get a move that works, he doesn't change acceleration on his path to the quarterback sometimes because he's always looking for change of speed. Because truthfully, that is what he is good at. He's very good in space, right? He turns on. And those 3 sacks that we saw, I don't want to take anything away from Drake, but those 3 sacks that we saw were a byproduct of his teammates.
Other pressure. Yeah.
Yes, his teammates' pressure, right? Yep. So you still got to make a play. It's still the NFL.
He finished.
Made those plays. He finished.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he's just having a hard time. I said those 3 phases, but there's so many things under the move, under the finish, under the start, where I feel as though that he's just feeling his way through. He's trying to put it all together.
I know who the Niners could get to book in Nick Bosa. He's available right now. They don't have to trade for him right now.
Who?
D Ford. No, wait, hold on. I got a better one.
As soon as we were having a good conversation, bro.
I got a better one. Alden Smith.
Why do you know?
He's like 33. He should be fine.
Why are you devolving the conversation? That's so crazy.
I couldn't help myself. I was serious for like 16 minutes.
I'm pissed off that I took you seriously. I was like, oh, he's going to really name somebody. Who's he going to name? You had to like edge of my
create
seat.
the suspense, you know what I'm saying? Do with the straight face.
Yeah, that's what I'm fucking saying. Ronald McDonald.